Ba-da-ba-ba-da, bum-ba-da-da-da-da-da. Ba-da-da-ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-ba-da-ba-ba-ba-ba-da-ba. Ba-da-ba-da-ba-da-ba. Ba-ba. Here's Johnny. Thank you, Ed. Hello. Hey. Hi there, social media family. Being whatever, racist and practically, if not possibly, being whatever walks of life, factions of society, or lifestyle preferences. Yes, keep coming back. Sorry about the interruptions, you all. There are certain visitors to that bit of my own YouTube social media channel and our chat room and comment section. Not all visitors to be included among those being of whom I myself personally am making mention of. Yes, sorry about that. So far as the intrusion coming from those others in question, well, let me say to try to be more specific in detail. Otherwise, how would you all know which visitors that my person as a believer in God am making reference to? But rather, those being of certain ones with their rather demon-possessed demonic selves who would, certain visitors of the likes, for the last mention, who would pop up on or upon, however said, excuse, pardon, and forgive me for butchering the English language as we have an American dialect. And, with all of its qualities and quantities of grammatical usages for supposedly the umpteenth consecutive time. But anyway, though, as a backtrack here, the reason on purpose being, or so I can go on to following, to continue from where and when that my personal last, if I can finish up as a completed form of your prayer line, I thought that saints word. There are certain visitors to that being of my own YouTube social media channel, chat room comment sections that would mean say likewise, no, but rather to my social media channel, because if they were to pop up in my comments section or chat room, whereas they could tell on themselves what kind of internet trolls or characters and negative that they are. The same line of thought being, in other words, obnoxious, and to attempt with all their negativity, whereas they wish to do a monkey wrench in the program for my person to deliver a message as believing God, though at times I can play the part of the devil's advocate, listen to even being a prodigal son, and being of which I had most recently destroyed my good testimony in Christ's name, till I felt it placed upon my heart and mind to try to make amens to the God of my own understanding. Behind what I had become subject to experiencing most recently of life Christ has been, in which I will get in to discussing matters as that being shortly after. But then where's the worst of the two evils is likes of, of whom would be considered as being likewise well all the same. The worst is the closet devil worshippers, being of whom make up the majority of most church-goers or whatever religious denomination. And that is including any of the likes of prosperity, preacher, man, televangelists, false-brethen, false prophet, and antichrist. Among them will be fleecing the flock of the members of and visitors to their mega churches, whereas they be robbing, excuse me, sorry, Prince of Peace continue regular, my man, compared to the Prince of Darkness to confuse my speech. And whereas they be robbing the offering tray blind, without the permission and consent, as well as without the knowledge of the flocks they fleece, and as they be killing from the pulpits with the updated different versions of the Jonestown-Koolaid-mix-punch, be especially robbing senior citizens, draining their life savings or pensions from their bank accounts, and driving more than quite a few of them into the poorhouse, the doghouse, rescue mission shelters, nursing homes, the crazy house, and in the jail, depending on how they respond to them having their wallets and purses being bled bone dry as the religious modern day Pharisees and or Sadducees, prosperity preacher men, televangelists who outnumber their female or woman rival counterparts would take advantage of more than quite a few, like the blind leading the blind. But then getting back to some of such other, as I was about to say, backtrack here with purposes being, or else I can complete a form of previous Friday night out in the saints' word. But then you will hear some background music, but I chose not to have it interrupt this particular social media broadcast for the present, because there was nothing on that I choose to listen to at the moment, and especially if it be some religious hype in the background, as most religious radio personalities, as well as religious television personalities, as well as religious television personalities, are full of crap. Well, anyway, I was about to say, so far as the internet trolls, certain visitors, not all visitors, to that being of my own YouTube social media channel, whereas they would, literally actually pop on here for a few seconds and then just as quick pop out. And as I suspect that some of the life could possibly be of my present proverbial neighbors from damn hell that do that, who could possibly be moonlighting as internet trolls. And as they are not just the worst, but the worstest of proverbial neighbors from down hell. And for that being not just the worst, but one of the worstest of the Century area neighborhood communities. And likewise, they could possibly be among the worstest of the closet devil worshippers who make up the majority of most church-goers or whatever religious denominations. Okay, but anyway, though, and moving right along with this slight interjection, and as they could likewise be moonlighting as some or such of my crank callers and or stalkers. And with that having been said, then let me get to like I said, moving right along. How are you all doing? Well, hopefully everyone is doing at least okay, if not better yet to be said, to be feel all right. If not best of all, and that is not better yet to be said on stated for the record, to be doing and I'm feeling all right. Hopefully you would at least be doing and feeling okay, or if not best of all to be said, to be feeling blessed and stressed, or blessed and stressed, too blessed to possibly become or be stressed. You and your family, friends, and hopefully me and mine. But then anyway, though, I had informed you all's persons how, yes, now that I've gotten the preliminaries out the way, or, took care of the necessary business at hand so far as the basic intro as an introduction and our footnotes, then let me just dive in the conversation, the dialogue, which makes up the present social media broadcast or video. Well, and from another point of view or perspective, and hopefully for the greater glory of the God of my own understanding, our Lord and Savior Christ, Messiah delivered, compared unto whatever previous social media broadcasts of videos, being of which I have made in times past, most recently, being of which, could possibly have become or be of the life that don't glorify our Lord and Savior Christ, the Messiah deliverer, or that would destroy my good testimony in Christ's name. Sorry about that. I apologize. So I'm trying to make amens here now. Hold that thought. Whoever is doing that, could you please identify yourself? I'm seeing something along the nature like somebody has managed to, I don't know, hopefully it's not an internet troll, otherwise even worse a character, so far as a computer hacker. Because I'm seeing like some kind of flowery designs popping up, of symbols, and I don't see anybody within my comment section, or chat room, so I can identify who could possibly be doing that. But anyway, getting back to some of such other, so I had informed you all's persons how I had most recently helped out this one derelict transient, aka a homeless bum. The one word to be a drunk or hypernaut, as an alcoholic or drug addict. And he took me for a ride, and was himself just so happened to be a white guy, whereas I would have expected that to have come from a black or Hispanic fella, for supposedly my own race of people or person, although I don't necessarily consider myself as being black or white, but rather just an American citizen, not to mention first and foremost a believer in God, as in Christian, aka Protestant. But anyway, though, he took me for a ride, as in he run game on me. He had done or did just that, and then hung me out to dry, as he had schemed and scammed, come off like a shyster, scam artist, a con artist, whereas he may as well have been one of these proverbial neighbors from damn hell characters that took him to run game on me. I mean, whereas but then add insult to injury. Well, we'll get to that last minute. But anyway, though, I had met him in one of these public branch libraries within city limits, As a matter of fact, for that of the Midwest of the USA, where I'm at, for, Chicago, Illinois, the Windy City, being of the sister city to, New York, the city of the Big Apple, for that other great metropolis or major metropolitan city within the continental USA, being which is also up north, but for the East Coast. Whereas Chicago, Illinois, for the Midwest is like pretty much so in the middle of our own country or nation of a supposed so-called Democratic Republic or democracy up north here. And like whereas our closest northern neighbor is that of the foreign country and nation of Canada. And at our southern border is the foreign country and nation of Mexico, with all those Mexican drug cartel lords, etc. Anyway, getting back to some of such other closer to home, so far as other characters running game. So I met this here one homeless guy, a fellow, being of whom just so happened to be a white guy, which I would expect what he had done or did to me to have come from a black or Hispanic guy or fellow, for that matter. Or a dude of a brother of a non-white male character, coming off like riffraff, scheming, scamming, or the rank and file of criminal elements of social rejects of any given society or country or nation. And when I met him in this public branch library, as a matter of fact, it's supposed to be the headquarters public branch library that has authority over all the other public library branches, And whereas I took it that he was legit because I don't know, call it what you will. My eyes, I guess, it kind of like popped out of my head when I had noticed, witnessed, or whatever I had said that he had, for one, a working cell phone, and then he had two, a working laptop computer, and then last but not least, three, he had at least some kind, sort of type of a lemon of a automobile, motor vehicle, as in car to simply say. And then I'm listening to him talking to, a second party upon the opposite end of a phone line for his own personal cell phone. He mentioned something about money, and so I walked over to his table, alongside of me, and I put more than a few dollars down on the table for him. And then I told him something along this line. So I paraphrased and I quoted exactly something about. Now you're quite some such dollars richer than what you was before. And then against my better judgment, which I should have went with my gut feeling, I offered as an extended invitation for him to spend a night in my own place of residence, have it here, regardless of how I am now a resident or tenant, not just in one of the worst, but in one of the worstest vicinity area neighborhood communities. And therefore, I have not just some such of the worst, but of the worstest proverbial neighbors from damn hell. You see, the only reason why they're worse has been because they are more creepier than the last neighbors from damn hell, of whom I have had to be bothered with to become subject to experiencing. And as they were also of the black persuasion of supposedly my own race of peoples or persons. And so I had permitted this homeless guy end up a drunken bum because he told me he still drinks. Then far as I know, he could be getting high, worse yet, though he told me he don't do drugs. And whereas before I permit him to spend a night been, which I had done or did, I also bought him not one, but a couple, if not a few meals, I bought him, made purchases of his lunch and dinner meal, and not for just a fast food place, but for a restaurant, pretty classy restaurant in a better neighborhood that we went to eat. And whereas he sat down with me at a table and he ate one of the meals and took the other with him as carryout, And then from there, yes, I bought gas for his lemon of an automobile motor vehicle car, Yeah. And then last but not least, I permitted him, or however said, he himself, to spend the night with me. And he was giving me this song and dance routine. I took it. I should have been thinking, what if he had been a black or Hispanic person of a male of the same sex? Would I be so willing to open up to him? I don't think so. So I'm probably at fault for him taking me out to the cleaners, because I should have asked him a question from Jump Street. Well, do you have any money, Because not only am I jeopardizing my own personal safety, permitting a complete stranger to spend the night with me in my own personal space, my private area, my own place of residence, where I pay annual monthly rent, utilities, etc. Because I don't know this guy from Tom, Dick, and Harry, the who shot guy. No, I don't know this fellow, this dude, But then, likewise, I could possibly be jeopardizing my own living arrangement, because, I rent from somebody else. I don't own my own house or home, Can you feel me? But then, nevertheless, I played the fool, and I got served royal, And somewhere along the line, he told me he got a rich uncle and all that crap. So that was just something he threw in there to ensure that he could spend the night, and hope to run further game on me. I only found out that he's supposed to have something like, well, first of all, one of the first signs or signals that should have let me know that this white boy is foul is when he stood in front of the entranceway doorway to my makeshift bedroom area, which is what I had converted my living room area into, where I sleep. And I had permitted as and let him take the little actual back bedroom to my place of residence to spend a night, Then I find him something like 5 o'clock in the morning at the crack of dawn, standing in front of my entranceway doorway to my makeshift bedroom, being in my living room area. And I'm thinking it could possibly be one of these proverbial neighbors from damn hell. Not just worse, but the worstest sort of type could have possibly made like a home invader or intruder. I'm looking around for some anything, as a means to use, if necessary, as a possible and potential weapon to protect myself as a matter of self-defense, to use at will, at my beck and call, for my own personal survival, to protect myself, Then I had noticed it was him, Then I tried to shrug it off. And then only found out come much later, after I had extended an invitation of an offer to him to pay a visit with me to one of my much more frequented self-help recovery program meetings compared to one of my less attended ones, that he himself supposedly has or had $900 in the GoFundMe social media account, been in which he claims that some such following meeting about a week later that he no longer has, and for today, whereas I thought after he had already scammed me and, that is that. He mentioned it the first time that I invited him to, and only to find out that's for the last self-help recovery program. He only found out that the following Saturday, being of today, when he come again, he paid a visit there after I had extended the invitation that first time. He paid a visit there again. I wasn't expecting him to be there after he had run game on me, because I was still pretty pissed and still am. But hopefully I feel less pissed than what I felt like last. He's there. I'm like, son of a, I'm like, oh no, he didn't. I'm like, are you freaking kidding me? Because I just wanted to wind down and try to ease my nerves after what he put me through, Because when I had found out during that in the first self-help recovery program meeting that he had attended for one of my much more frequented ones, when I extended the invitation offered to him, that he was supposedly having $900 in a social media account, as someone says, give him on time. I don't know whether or not he mentioned it back then as well, that he no longer has it in him, but still all the same, I was like saying, why didn't he mention it to me before? And then to add insult to injury, whereas this following the second meeting that he attended, for the self-help recovery program, being one of my much more frequented ones compared to one of my less attended ones, he lies and claimed that he had informed my person from the very beginning that there is not any way he could repay me or return the favor for how I had gone out of my way to move heaven and hell, to play the part of Good Samaritan, to help him out regardless of whether or not I would have expected any money in return. I mean, what average individual person do you know of working stiff, holding down a 9-to-5 job, or is a college or university student, is going to let a complete stranger spend a night in one's place of residence free of charge, where one pays annual monthly rent, utilities, and etc., especially the likes of a homeless guy, be one a drunk or worse yet, a hype or not. Nobody, not in this world. It will only be a Christian believer that has gone all out of one's way, that has gone beyond the call of duty more than your average individual Christian believer in God to do so, you know. No, that wouldn't happen in a million years, not a billion years, not a trillion years, not in this world. Maybe in a fairy tale, you know, so far as your average working stiff holding down a 9 to 5 job, or college or university student permitting a homeless person to spend a night free of charge in one's place of residence where one pays annual monthly rent, utilities, and etc. So I'm like, man, you crazy. I had told you from the very beginning that I didn't have anything, that I'm a homeless person. There's no way I could pay you. I'm like thinking, well, are you saying that either you're saying that I'm lying or you're saying that I'm crazy? Well, that would be insane for anybody to let somebody that you just met stay in your place of residence, you know, overnight, free of charge, whereas that would not only be a risk to my own personal safety. Like I said, he stood in my entranceway doorway to my makeshift bedroom area here for my living room area, whereas I let him have the little actual back bedroom to my place of residence, you know. I mean, that would be crazy to risk my own personal safety. Your average individual person of a working stiff holding down a 9 to 5 job, or a college or university student wouldn't do it. You know, not in a million years, not in a billion years, not in a trillion years. As that would be crazy. Risk, only a Christian would think to do that, going beyond the call of duty more than your average Christian. Be one were to be expecting some kind of monetary, financial benefit or not, as in money, to return the favor or not, you know. Yes, that would not only be risking my own personal safety. If I were to just let him, you know, how much more, you know, if supposedly he informed me, Ben, which he didn't from the very beginning, that he's homeless and he don't have any means or way to repay me, to return the favor. You know, that would not only be risking my own personal safety, but it also would be risking my living arrangement. Like I said before, and state for the record, so I say and state for the record again, whereas I rent out to somebody else. I mean, I rent from somebody else is what I meant to say. I don't own my own house or home, you know. That's just crazy. So he would literally actually have to be lying, you know. Okay. So I felt quite pissed behind it, and I'm wondering what hurt me more. That I had done all that stuff for him, regardless of whether or not I expected any pay in return, to return the favor, or that he lied and said that he told me from the beginning that he didn't have, that is, he's a homeless person, he don't have anything by which he could repay me for whatever I could do for him. Yeah, I were to be expecting some kind of pay behind that or not, you know. Anyway, though, I just felt the need to do this here social media broadcast or video, you know, so as to you know, do it upright compared to the last time I had composed one, being of the same subject matter or topic of discussion to be debated, with the many different views and opinions of the pros and cons to be affiliated, associated with, and representing thereof. And whereas I wish to apologize for the cussing and swearing that I had done or did, you know. And all I could do is pray for those others, you know, that be a typical run game on still others, you know, other fellow citizens of the global community for our own human species, you know. But never again will I fall for that ever again, you know. Because I'm the one that stood to risk a much greater loss than that homeless, drunken bum white boy. I mean, after all, he could have done a number of things to me while I was sleeping, you know. As a matter of fact, I've had to pay a visit to a local vicinity area neighborhood community hospital to make sure he didn't do something freaky deaky with my person, if you know what I mean. Read between the lines, fill in the blanks, you know. And I'm like, never again. I mean, if anything, logic would say if I were to permit a complete stranger, let alone a homeless person, to spend the night with me that I just met, and to spend the night free of charge in my own place of residence where I pay annual monthly rent, utilities, and etc. Whereas, unless I were to be gay, that other complete strange, the other person of a complete stranger and of a homeless one a homeless one at that would have to be someone or somebody representing the opposite sex, you know, that I would expect to get some sugar, some sweet stuff from her, you know. And trust me when I say I'm not gay. Obviously, evidently, I'm not, you know. Otherwise, I wouldn't have been saying, and more or less, how that freaked me out when this homeless dude, this homeless guy, homeless, this homeless dude, this homeless guy, this homeless fella of a derelict transient, of a shyster, con artist, scam artist, drunken bum of a white boy, it freaked me out when he was standing at 5 in the morning at the crack of dawn in the entrance doorway of my makeshift bedroom, being in my living room area, you know, and I'm like wondering what the damn hell is on his mind, you know. Like I said before, so I say again, as likewise stayed for record, was I thought, you know, that it was one of my present proverbial neighbors from down here, like one that broke in on me and could possibly be contemplating doing me some kind of harm or hurt in a most volatile or lethal kind of way, and it turns out to be him. So I want to find out that another sign or signal is that. Oh yeah, and then there was the one that should have let me know that he's foul and funky, because I want him to drive me to a local vicinity area neighborhood community soup kitchen, being one of the few that I know about that serves during the you know, nighttime hours compared to how most I know that serve during the daylight hours. And he didn't want to go. Show how unappreciative or how ungrateful or thankless he was for all that I had already done for him, regardless of whether or not I had expected some pay out of it. But then logic would say, you know, unless I am super Christian with an S on my chest, representing the Savior I believe in. Now, what would make you think that somebody gonna let a complete stranger, you know, stay in one's place of residence free of charge overnight, and to supplement that, do all the other stuff for you before then? That's just crazy. That's insane. It's illogical, as Lieutenant Spock of the Starship Enterprise would say. But never again, you know, God forbid. Because that white boy took me for a ride, you know. Really now. Yeah. So that's what I had to go through most recently. I mean, it rocked me at my very foundation, you know. I'm like, man, you crazy. If I had known you was gonna attempt to run game on me like that, you wouldn't have never got one of your feet past the entranceway from my front door into my place of residence, atmosphere for its premises of property. You crazy, man. You must be doing something worse than just drinking, like smoking some kind of drug or that being of a sort of type, because that is illogical. That defies the laws and bylaws of logic or reason, you know. Really now. But then I slept that one big time, so I'm partly at fault to let that white boy, whereas I would expect that to come from a brother, black or Hispanic, to run game on me like that. What about Asian? I don't know. Anyway, though, I apologize for all the cussing and swearing that I had done most recently, and but I was just so pissed to think that I fell asleep at the wheel, not only for my own personal survival, but for my own personal safety, I fell asleep at the wheel. That white boy could have done some of anything and everything to me at 5 in the morning. If I didn't wake up somewhat, or where she kind of woke me up out of my sleep, and I didn't shook myself up, shook myself awake regardless, of him waking me up out of my sleep. That bogus movie here after he already done number. But then on this last note of interest, I would like to say, and that is, if you haven't gotten Christ as your personal Lord and Savior, I would hope that you would think to do so now while the blood is still running warm in your veins. By recognizing and realizing what he himself had done or did upon the cross of Calvary on Hill of Golgotha, suffering at the hands of some such Roman soldiers upon the orders of their superiors, religious, political, militaristic, or otherwise. But then, nevertheless, boys, he went to that cross of Calvary to become a perfect sacrifice, the only sacrifice for you as well as for me. Don't steal my trademark physical gesture. I'm going to have to copyright this sometime. So that if any of us, being on whatever race and whatever walks of life, faction of society, lifestyle preferences, being on the old, young, like both two sexual genders, males and females represent not only as well as associated with, yes, not only the global community, but the human species within the post 911 era of our new millennium, or this apocalyptic day and age where the doomsday clock is not only the human species, but the global community within this post 911 era of our new millennium apocalyptic day and age where the doomsday clock is now at a couple few minutes to midnight compared to our only period prior to it was a quarter midnight for these rather biblically preferred times where the profess some such faith in them. From there we be blessed one regard another. More ways, more. First and foremost, with his salvation being, which is the only means by which any of us can or could possibly become citizens of the kingdom of heaven. And second of all, with his deliverance. But first, you have got to get his salvation. Otherwise, you have nothing coming so far as blessing is concerned. You leave this world without that being the only fire insurance against the lake of fire down hell, then your final destination would be just that, compared to be burning with the rest of the unsaved, lost down human souls of unbelievers, compared to how we as believing God will be sitting in the kingdom of heaven. You all take care. We are.